Hi guys, and welcome back to another installment of Secret Graceland number 44. Today we will be looking at some photos of Elvis and his family and friends at his beloved Graceland, all from the 1970s. Looking at each photo in that spot today. If you haven't yet seen the 1950s and 1960s videos I did, check those out as well. Comparing then and now is one of my favorite things ever, so I scoured my files and selected these photos that stuck out to me. Let's jump in. First up, this isn't even technically Graceland. For the longest time, I thought this was Elvis leaving Graceland in his Pantera, but look closer. See that brown utility pole next to the car and the tan building in the background on the right? He is leaving Graceland, but out from his secret driveway. Here is that pole. The building immediately beyond wasn't there at the time this photo was taken, but the tan building that we observed was most recently Blvd Souvenirs, you might remember, just steps away from the Graceland gates. Now let's actually look at the Graceland gates. Here is Elvis and Billy Smith leaving the house on one of his trikes. Across the street was the plaza that housed different shops in Elvis's time. Here's another of the Stutz driving out of the gates, this time in color, and we get another look at the plaza. Those stores later became the old complex that was the museum for many years. In 2017, Graceland built us all a new complex across from the mansion, and this is that view today. Let's travel up the winding driveway and take a look at some fun photos of Elvis and the family on the golf carts. Here, Elvis stops to talk with a couple of fans in 1970. See the house in the distance? Here is exactly where his cart was parked. Elvis is driving and a bunch of kids have piled on. They're heading down the driveway facing Elvis Presley Boulevard. They're at this curve right here. That same day, Elvis just had to get that car over this hump of grass while other kids look on. This really drew a crowd. Priscilla and the dog came out to watch. I just think it's funny that he was driving through the bushes. Here is where they all were. That hill is still there, ready for another cart to attempt it. Now the ground is level, but Elvis just drove this cart over the curb. See how the road goes to the left and to the right up ahead? And behind the back of the cart, we can see a white stone structure. They were jumping that curb right in front of the house. See straight ahead that white stone structure in the street? Today it has flowers. Graceland has the prettiest landscaping. At Christmas, Elvis loved to decorate the exterior of the house. The lawn decor and the nativity scene he used evolved over time. If you're interested in a more in-depth look at Elvis's nativity scene, I created a video all about it. You can check it out in the link that popped up at the top, as well as in the description box below. Here is what that scene looked like in the 1970s. This scene was rented out each year. The one that Elvis got later is the one that we see at Christmas still to this day. And here is exactly that spot today. Next, we're going inside the house where many of the photos will be from Graceland's red era, but some will still be the classic white and blue. We will skip around chronologically, but we're keeping on the tour path. First up are some photos from 1971. In these three photos, Elvis is posing here, and the house looks a lot like it does today. You can stand exactly where Elvis is standing because he is right here in front of the front door. If you were to visit Graceland after 1974 but before 1982, this is what it would look like. And here is the foyer today. Looking up the staircase landing, this is either sometime in the 70s or very early 80s. It's a very different view that we see today. Standing in the foyer looking into the living room, this vibrant photo shows a very different space than we see today. Only the peacocks are familiar. And here is what you will see on a tour today. Just inside the room was this photo taken of Elvis and friend Jeanne 𝐓𝐢𝐻 in 1971. This is before the red era, of course, and it closely resembles how we know Graceland to look today. Going back in time to 1970, but taken facing the same way, you've probably seen this photo before. Here is the Memphis Mafia with their badges. They are posed just in front of the doorway to the music room. But this is before the stained glass peacocks were installed, so there were just curtains. Then a close-up of the little family and Dr. Nick and his wife in the entrance to the music room. Here is where all of those photos were taken. The doorway isn't bigger, they just hung curtains all around the wall and also within the doorway. Here are Jeanne and Elvis again at Christmas 1971, this time seated on the couch, right here. This is a clear shot of the fireplace with accessories and a large mirror hanging above it. Then that same exact spot now. Very vibrant and fluffy. And this is that same wall now. We're skipping around in time, but going in physical order of the house, here are Jeanne, Elvis, and Linda Thompson standing in the entrance to the living room at Christmas 1972. This is exactly how we look when we stand at the ropes, actually. And here is Elvis in the corner of the living room in 1970 showing off a rifle. Fast forward about 5 years, here is a better look at the furnishings and art in this room in the mid-70s. Then another look from a slightly different angle. He was standing right here where we are standing behind the ropes. By the way, I want to point this out. I'm not showing this now or at any time in my Secret Graceland videos to judge what's better or worse or right or wrong. Just reporting the facts and showing what I think is interesting. None of this is to cause outrage at the Graceland Museum for any changes that were made over the years. All of this is just to show what it looked like then and then what it looks like now. It's just for fun and to learn. Don't be mad at Graceland, ever. I'm thankful that it exists so I could go and that they allow me to coexist in this space. Beyond the living room, here is the music room in the mid-70s. Now here is that space today. I came across this cute little photo of Minnie Mae, or Dodger as Elvis called her, in her downstairs bedroom at Graceland. She's seated in an armchair with floral wallpapered walls and a door behind her. This is the bedroom that once belonged to Gladys and Vernon that we see on the tour. She is seated right here, just inside the door that we stand at the ropes to look into the room. Moving out to the dining room, let's look at some Christmases over the years. Some of the best photos of Elvis and Lisa Marie together were taken in this very room of her opening presents Christmas morning. They were all right here. This is one of my favorites. He has an Oscar the Grouch puppet on his hand. There is a stocking and a toy shark hanging from the dining table, Play-Doh and toys everywhere. And in this one, you can still spot that hanging shark off the edge of the same table that we see on the tour. Shark. Here's another look from the red era of the mid-70s. Another from back then when there was a large cabinet with a stuffed dog on the top. I don't know, no more dog in the cabinet today. Inside the kitchen in the early 70s, here's Linda Thompson and Vernon hanging out the counter in a photo from her friend Jeanne LeMay's book, Elvis, Linda, and Me. Facing the same way, here is one of the cooks making something at the stove. Then right next to the oven, Linda and Vernon, yes, Linda, are pictured here making bunny ears. Next, here's that entire area today. Facing the back of the kitchen, Linda Thompson had a whole photo shoot in the kitchen in the mid-70s. Her and a cook are pictured here with a gumball machine. And this is the kitchen today. In the mid-70s, the kitchen looked like this, with cozy dishes and decor items. This is exactly where we walk through on the tour today. And this is a photo of Priscilla and Lisa in this spot in 2012. Next stop, a quick trip to the basement. Here is the TV den as Elvis last saw it. In that same spot today, it is virtually untouched. Let's take our tour back upstairs to check out the jungle room. Here's a great look into a day in the life in the den, as this room was called. The projector was set up, and that's how Elvis and the gang used to watch TV. You can see the reflection of the screen in the mirror, and the furniture is arranged to face it. Flipping to the opposite wall, here is a look at the screen. There is the stone waterfall in the back wall. Where the screen is where there is now a cutout in the wood paneling for fans to be able to see into the jungle room on the tour. See on the very left of the screen, the cascading leaves? That is from this plant. On the far right of this picture is the edge of the projector screen. This is again that same wall that today has a large cutout. Now here is that room today and all of the angles that we just looked at. The rest of our tour will be outside, and first on our list is the carport. Here is an awesome view of the carport with a few recognizable cars parked under here. And here is a recent photo of that area back here behind the fence. We are taking our tour all the way through the trophy building to this back corner in 1975. This was taken during Elvis's lifetime and near the back door. Even back then, Elvis had things on display. See that strange T-shaped wall with Elvis's portrait hanging on it in the center of the picture? Now here is that same area now on the tour path. That strange chunk of the wall is still there. Let's walk across the path just like on the tour and go inside the racquetball building. Here is an incredibly clear photo from back then of a spot we see on the tour today, walking just inside the building. The bar is on the right, the lounge area is down below, and here is that same area today. It's roughly exactly the same. And here's another couple of photos from the 1970s. I go into a lot more detail on how the space looked even when Elvis was here in a video titled, you guessed it, Graceland's Racquetball Building. The link popped up here and it will also be in the description box below. Now here is what the lounge looks like today. Taken from above, here are some of Elvis's close friends pictured during a game in 1977. Since several years ago, the court has been brought back to how it looked back then, and here it is now. Going back out towards the pool, let's look at some more photos from the 1970s. A high-up aerial view of the pool, trophy building with pool house on the right, and mansion beyond. And today. Turning 180 degrees, let's take a look at the meditation garden in the 70s. Linda Thompson posed with their dog 𝐓𝐢𝐩 in the garden near a statue and a column. And here is my photo of that spot today. In October 1977, the graves of Elvis and Gladys were moved from the cemetery down the street to Graceland. Initially, they were placed side by side in the meditation garden, and it originally looked like this. Soon, more graves followed. Today, there are 6 graves in the meditation garden at Graceland. Lastly, here is Lisa Marie riding her golf cart on the grounds. It just looks like woods and could be anywhere. But see the path near the trees? There's a smidge of the pool in the background on the left. Today, that path is the one that we walk back to the shuttle to leave and go back across the street, and looks like this. And that is it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.